Poker is a game shaped not only by mathematics and probability, but also by emotional control, observation, and the capacity to manipulate how others perceive a situation. Many assume that the strongest hand always wins, but the hands highlighted in this feature table prove otherwise. The players showcased a deep understanding of how to construct believable stories through betting, how to put pressure on opponents at exactly the right moment, and how to turn seemingly weak hands into powerful weapons. What follows is a complete breakdown of several significant hands where strategic decision-making and psychological understanding made all the difference. Hand 1. Lyubovetsky versus Grabowski. Turning a small pair into a successful bluff. The first notable hand begins with Andrei Lyubovetsky raising from early position holding King-Queen offsuit, specifically King-Diamond-Queen club. This is a strong hand that naturally fits a pre-flop raise. The action folds around to Grabowski in the small blind, who elects to call with 3 spades, 3 diamonds, a small pocket pair that is often worth seeing a flop with, especially against an early position raiser. The big blind folds, and the 2 players proceed to the flop heads up. The flop comes down King 7-4, giving Lyubovetsky top pair with a strong kicker. Grabowski has only a small pair, but instead of immediately folding or playing aggressively, both players choose to check. Lyubovetsky's check here disguises the true strength of his hand and may encourage future calls from weaker holdings. Grabowski's check indicates caution, but also keeps the door open for possible bluff lines, depending on how the hand develops. The turn reveals the King of Spades, a highly favorable card for Lyubovetsky, who now improves to trip kings. Grabowski, however, picks up a flush draw with the 3 of spades. Even though the draw is extremely weak, it provides an opportunity. If the hand reaches the river without improving, the board may give Grabowski a chance to represent a superior holding. Still, both players check again, which only adds to the deceptive structure of the hand. The river brings the Ace of Diamonds, a powerful scare card that drastically alters the perceived strength of the board. The presence of an ace introduces the possibility that one of the players held an ace-high hand and improved. Additionally, it completes potential flushes and strengthens several 2-pair combinations. Grabowski recognizes the opportunity immediately. Even though his hand has not improved beyond a small pair, he leads out with a strong overbet on the river. The sizing of this bet is not random. It is specifically chosen to apply maximum pressure and suggests that he has either made a flush or improved to a top-tier hand. Lyubovetsky, holding trip kings, is now in a complicated position. Despite having a hand that would beat most holdings, the river texture makes the strength of his hand less secure. If Grabowski were betting for value, the hands that make sense include completed flushes or ace-king type combinations. After careful thought and consideration of how the hand played, Lyubovetsky decides to fold. Trip kings, one of the strongest possible holdings in most scenarios, are laid down due to the convincing story created by Grabowski's final bet. The pot is awarded to Grabowski, who wins with just a pair of 3s. Hand 2. Asalenka versus Goel. A demonstration of disciplined folding. The second hand begins with Asalenka raising pre-flop holding Queen of Clubs 10 of Hearts. Goel calls with King of Diamonds Jack of Hearts, a stronger hand that dominates Asalenka's opening range. Audacious defends the big blind with Jack 9 of Spades, giving 3 players a look at the flop. The flop falls King of Hearts, 3 of Spades, 2 of Diamonds. This gives Goel top pair with a strong kicker, while Asalenka's hand remains entirely unconnected to the board. Asalenka makes a continuation bet, representing strength as the initial raiser. Goel calls with confidence, recognizing he is ahead. Audacious, holding only a weak draw, folds, narrowing the hand to heads-up play. The turn is the 3 hearts, pairing the board. Asalenka decides to fire a second barrel. a strategic move aimed at forcing folds from hands such as weak kings or middling pairs. Double barreling requires courage and awareness because it means telling a consistent story of strength across multiple streets. However, in a surprising and memorable moment, Goel lays down his top pair. Although he held the best hand, he chooses to prioritize stack preservation and avoid confronting the possibility that Asalenka may have been playing a stronger holding from the start. The fold demonstrates maturity and discipline, reminding players that poker is not always about winning every pot, but rather making the best long-term strategic decisions. Hand 3. Heraldstad versus Myers, using range advantage to force a fold. The third featured hand involves Heraldstad, holding 8 diamonds, 7 diamonds, and Myers holding king spades, jack clubs. The board texture develops in a way that favors Heraldstad's perceived range. As the hand progresses, Heraldstad applies consistent pressure across multiple streets. Myers, who holds only a pair of jacks, is left to guess whether Heraldstad is bluffing or value betting. As Heraldstad reaches the river, he shoves all in. The move is timed to coincide with a runout that heavily favors the types of hands Heraldstad would logically play. Myers is put into a difficult spot. Calling incorrectly would cost a significant portion of his chips, while folding means giving up a hand that might be ahead of a bluff. After taking time to analyze the potential value range Heraldstad might represent, Myers folds. Once again, a player with the weaker hand takes the pot through strategic pressure and logical storytelling. Hand 4. Taylor versus Ladev, turning a missed straight draw into a final street bluff. The fourth hand introduces Taylor holding 10 hearts, 9 hearts, and Ladev holding queen diamonds, queen hearts. Taylor opens pre-flop and Ladev calls. The flop comes king of diamonds, jack of spades, 8 of spades, giving Taylor an open-ended straight draw, while Ladev still holds a pair of queens. The board interacts well with Taylor's perceived raising range, making continuation aggression believable. The turn is the jack, pairing the board and introducing the possibility of full houses. Both players proceed carefully, but Taylor continues to represent strength. The river brings another king, creating a final board of king diamond, jack spade, 8 spade, jack club, king heart. With the board double paired, Taylor shoves all in. This shove polarizes his range into either extremely strong hands, such as full houses or complete bluffs. Ladev is faced with a painful decision. His queens are ahead of many bluffs, but far behind any value holdings Taylor is representing. With tournament life on the line, Ladev folds, and Taylor wins the pot with 10 high. This hand emphasizes how pressure and board texture can overcome raw card strength. Hand 5. Anselm versus Hassan, representing the completed flush. The final key hand begins with Hassan holding king of spades, king of hearts, Maui calling with queen of spades, jack of spades, and Anselm defending with 9 diamonds, 6 diamonds. The flop shows 8 clubs, 7 clubs, 2 clubs. Although Hassan maintains the best hand statistically, the board creates enormous danger due to the presence of 3 clubs. Anselm holds a straight draw and decides to continue. The turn and river bring additional clubs to the board, even though none of the players hold a club themselves. Recognizing an opportunity, Anselm leads out on the river, representing the flush. Hassan cannot call without a club and folds the best hand. Anselm takes down the pot with only a small pair, bluffing as a calculated art form. Each of these hands demonstrates that bluffing is not random improvisation. Successful bluffing requires careful study of how opponents think, understanding which hands are believable based on earlier betting actions, and having the confidence to execute without hesitation. True poker mastery comes from knowing when to apply pressure, when to retreat, and how to make opponents fold even their strongest hands. In all of these hands, the players were not simply gambling, they were analyzing, predicting, and shaping how the hand would be perceived. If you found the analysis insightful and want to continue learning from intense, high-skill gameplay, be sure to like and subscribe. Supporting the content allows more deep strategic breakdowns and educational poker discussions to be produced. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new upload and continue sharpening your game one decision at a time.